Hello and welcome to Zentangle Explore. I am Esther Piszczek and I am a certified Zentangle teacher, and I am so excited that you've come to draw with me either live, in person, online, or on the replay. So this is a class where we draw one Zentangle pattern really, really slowly. And we draw it on little pieces of paper you can just hold in the palm of your hand, and you'll just need a pen. I have a 01 Micron, I have a Sharpie, but even if you just have a pen off your desk, even if it's orange, that's okay. You can use that to draw. And we explore that pattern in all kinds of ways. Like any way that you want to explore it is a perfect way. So it doesn't need to look even anything like what I'm doing. So you have complete freedom to draw really slow lines your way. All right, so we're going to start out with some breathing and settling before we draw, and then we'll draw for a nice long time. So get nice and comfortable in your seat if you'd like, and you can close your eyes if you want to. I'm going to close mine. And we will just settle into this moment. Perhaps do a little body scan from the top of your head all the way to your toes. Just checking in and seeing what needs to be wiggled or adjusted. Bring more comfort and more ease. And then find your breath. Say hello, breath. Welcome to this moment. Allow your breath to be exactly as it is. And just notice. Notice what it feels like to breathe. Notice what it feels like to breathe inside your body. Can you feel your breath on the inside of your body? Perhaps in your nose or the back of your throat, your chest or your belly. Where can you notice your breath on the outside of your body? Clothing touching skin, expanding ribs, expanding back, expanding belly. The inhale, the inspiration. And then a little decrease, a little contraction on the exhale and the expiration. Knowing that however you are breathing, oxygen is flowing into the blood and carbon dioxide is flowing out of blood, and it's all happening magically. Without your thought, but with your attention, it becomes even more magical. And then perhaps notice the little rest between the inhale and the exhale. Just a tiny, tiny little stop. And a little rest between the exhale and the inhale. Tiny, tiny little rest. As the breath turns directions. Perhaps as you breathe, you can feel a little gentle tug of gravity in all the places that are resting on the floor or a seat or a bed or wherever your body is resting. Just feel that attachment, the feeling of being held, being safe, being in this moment, connected to the earth, or whatever it is that you are touching. That is also touching the earth, connected and grounded. letting you know that it is safe to breathe and relax and be right here, right now, in this moment that you are in. And if you'd like, you can take a big inhale with me. And a nice sighing exhale. Oh. A nice vibration of the sound of your breath leaving your body. Another big inhale. A nice releasing exhale. And one more big inhale together. And exhaling. Oh. As you settle 100% into the space that we're in and that you are in, you can open your eyes, knowing that whatever we create together will be perfect just as it is. Okay, thank you for breathing with me. It's so helpful to start drawing that way. I'm going to change my camera. All right. So I have a couple pieces of paper. This is watercolor paper. Sometimes I like to add watercolor or watercolor marker or different colors after I draw in this class, but you can actually add them while you're drawing if you'd like to. You could even start out with something that's watercolored or colored and draw on top of it. But we use different ones so we can start new designs, new explorations. I've got a 01 Micron here, but again, whatever pen you have, even if it's an orange pen from the top of your desk, that is perfect. So let us begin. We are drawing a pattern called Sun by Hanna, who's a certified Zentangle teacher. And this is a pretty specific pattern, and I'm excited to explore it in different ways. So we're going to draw really slowly. I'm going to teach you how the creator, Hanna Shan, drew it first, and then we will explore it in all different ways. So I'm going to start off the edge of my page. I'm going to draw this nice and big, so slowly. So we're drawing this big kind of backwards crest question mark. And this is kind of an organic type pattern, so it doesn't matter if your little question mark here looks like mine. We're gonna unfurl it and make it do all kinds of crazy things in just a minute. So this is similar to last week's pattern if you were following along with Suru, in that there's a little an aura line here, and you can do this however you want. I'm gonna just continue my line from the inside, nice and slowly, and just aura this around so it creates this little vine. My line has a wiggle in it, and that is so perfect. My line's not evenly spaced, and that's absolutely perfect. Just gonna let it be exactly as it is. Drawing this for the first time together, and we're exploring, which means that we are already completely successful in what we are creating. So I'm going to start my first little one. This has little leaves on it. And your leaf can be any shape. And if you look at nature, there's so many different shapes of leaves. So it can absolutely be anything. And I'm going to show you right now what happens next here. And that there's a little, just a little too jiggy, and then some dots up to the end. And these are going to get bigger. This is just the first little leaf. I'm going to turn my tile. And so a couple ways that you can do this. You can draw these one line up and then a second line down. You can draw them all together. You can draw all of your leaves and then put these little guys on the inside. And in Zentangle Explore, we explore. So we want to pay attention to what are the elements of what I'm drawing. We have this lovely little vine with these two lines that connect at the end. We have these little leaves that march along this space. We have this little kind of inner stem, these little dots that go to the end. And any one of these, elements can be changed. So the direction of the vine can be changed. The width of the vine stem can be changed. The weighting of the lines along the stem can be changed. I'm drawing these tiny little leaves, but these leaves could be a lot bigger. It could be a large leaf and then a small leaf and then a large leaf and then a small leaf. They could be crescent-shaped leaves like half moons. They could be square type shapes. They could be triangle type shapes. They can go from really small to really big. They can get wider. And you can have as many leaves on here as you want. You could decide you want one leaf, one really giant leaf that spans most of your vine. My leaves are just super tiny and they don't need to be tiny. They just kind of started out that way. So I'm just going with it. I'm sure when I draw my next one, I will change that. Breathing and drawing slowly as you can. And I'm drawing mine down the end of this vine, but you can stop wherever you want. I find that if my pen wants to draw a certain way, if I just allow it to happen without judging it or changing it or saying, oh, well, that's not exactly what that's supposed to look like, or that's not what I'm intending to do, and why is it coming out like this? And now I have to change all these things. One, it really steals your joy out of drawing lines. And it takes away the exploration or the discovery of what this looks like exactly the way you're drawing it. And so this now is kind of calling to me to say, well, there could be beautiful little dots off of these. And then even if I wanted to explore further, I could say, oh my gosh, there wants to be another layer of leaves that comes out from here. And this is not what the creator did. This is me saying, hey, what if I did this? What if another layer of leaves just pops out from inside? What would that look like? And I have a black pen and I can find out what that looks like. The challenge for me is that I get all excited when I start trying something new, and then I start drawing faster when I really want to be drawing slowly. So I have to say, all right, Esther, slow down. Breathe, slow down. And yours need not have these itty bitty little leaves. Draw one more. Okay, so sun. This is based on a real life plant. And a farmer from Tangle Patterns thought that maybe it was a ginger plant. All right, I'm going to turn there's no right side up, upside down in Zentangle, so I can turn my tile at any time and draw wherever I like. Actually, I'm going to draw over here. I'm going to draw off the page. So we start with our little vine, which again can change shape. It can go straight up, it can go straight, it can really do whatever you want it to do. I'm just keeping with this little backwards question mark. All of your leaves could dance around the inside. So they will get a little bit they will be a little bit more congested that way. Your leaves could go behind, so I could start my leaf touching the other leaf. So it goes behind. And this leaf shape, I mean, I've been drawing for many, many years. This leaf shape has not always been easy for me to draw. So if your leaf is a little bit wonky and you're saying, I don't just like, how does she do that? Just give yourself some grace and know that the shape comes from drawing leaves. And it doesn't come from, well, it comes from noticing the different aspects of something that you see drawn, someone else's drawing. You can say, oh, well, that line kind of goes in a little bit and mine comes out a little bit. And maybe that's why it looks different. And it's not bad, it's just different. It's just different. And so when you can take the judgment out of it and say, oh, well, what really is happening here? It makes it easier to witness and notice what's actually making it different. So these are reminding me of little candle flames, these little leaves that I'm drawing. Just keep breathing. Notice your breath. Allow your lines to be just as they are. And this little inner stem, it could be a lot taller and thicker or thinner. It could come out at the top of the leaf instead of the bottom of the leaf. And now I get to decide, do I want to have leaves down on this, or do I want to just leave it alone? Do I want to perhaps color in these little joining triangles between my leaves? I can. It's nice to add some black or a different color to ground your drawing. And if you wanted to add a different way to add black, I'll show you, is to just say, well, just this one side of the leaf is just going to be a little bit darker, a little bit weighted. Well, it just doesn't take a whole lot of black to change what you're drawing and ground it and have it feel more substantial. Sometimes just drawing over your lines once is enough. Add that little bit of change in weight. And the thing about drawing is that the more you draw, the better your drawing becomes, because your relationship between your hand and your eye and your pen changes over time. And what I love about that is that it changes organically just because you're drawing, not because you're thinking about it or forcing it or wanting it to be a certain way. But just because you are picking up your pen and drawing, and it's so much different than handwriting. I had students come to my class and they say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know that I could use my hand in this way," because writing is a completely different, kind of a different set of skills. You're trying to communicate something, so it uses a different part of your brain. And you're thinking about what the letters should look like, even though everybody's handwriting is stylized to their very own self. There's still some thinking in there about whether or not the letters are legible. And I have had notoriously challenging handwriting to read since I was very small. So I am particularly thinking about whether or not people can read my letters. Or sometimes I don't bother thinking about it and then they can't read my letters. It is something that I've been working on. I think the most important thing about drawing, besides picking up the pen and actually doing it, and allowing yourself to have the space and time, and quiet and breath. Most important thing is to appreciate what it is that you're drawing. To really say, wow. And if you think about all the different things that have to happen for you to draw a line, it's truly miraculous. And we, I think, take it for granted because it's something that comes so easily. We're taught to draw and write our letters and numbers when we're in school, when we're really young. And then we just keep doing it. We write out checks, sign our name on documents. We address envelopes, although a lot of that is automated now. It does still happen, but sometimes you need to pick up a pen. Communicate in ink on the page. And so we think about all the different things that have to happen: hand and eye coordination, how you hold your pen, even what your breath is doing at the time that allows you to draw. If we stopped breathing, we definitely would not be able to draw or sign our name. What's happening with our shoulders and our back? What are our legs and our feet doing? So many different things are happening. What's happening in our brains? What's happening in our nervous system to allow us to slow down and draw these really slow lines? We're all jacked up on coffee or some stimulant. We wouldn't be able to sit here. Excuse me. And draw really slow lines. Part of the experience of Zentangle is appreciation. Appreciating the paper and the pen and the lines. I can tell you that at some point, if we just judge what we're doing all the time and say, well, that's not good enough, it doesn't look like hers, and it doesn't look like this other person's, and I wanted to look what's in my head, it doesn't look like what's in my head. I mean, that's just no fun. And if I did that every time I sat down to draw and every time I sat down to teach this class, I can tell you that I wouldn't be teaching it for very long. And that aspect of allowing, of appreciating, Misha has joined the class. It comes from inside of you. It's nothing that I can make happen for you, except to remind you that whatever you're doing is an absolute success, especially in a class that's based in exploring. Every single line that we draw is an exploration. It's something that has never been before. And
we're witnessing it appear on the page and saying, well, is that a line that I find pleasing? Is it enjoyable for me to draw it? And I can tell you that it'll be far more enjoyable to draw it and to witness it if you're saying, oh, that's a brand new line. I've never drawn that line before. And well, maybe I want to draw it again. Maybe I want to draw it differently. But if you didn't draw it the way you drew it, exactly the way you drew it the first time, well, you wouldn't even know how to draw it differently. So that first line, even if it's completely not what you wanted, is so important. So, so important. It has value because it brings you information about what changes you want to make. When you draw your next line, about how drawing that line feels in your body, about whether or not maybe you're holding your breath when you draw, and maybe that's what the sticking point is. And so I give you full permission to explore this pattern fully. And I don't think there's no way you could run out of ways to explore a pattern. It's really just infinite, the number of lines you can draw. Like in this little exploration that I am doing right now, I have my vine, I have my petals, I have my little stem on the inside, my little dots, and it looks absolutely nothing except for the elements. It looks nothing like what I started with and what Hanna Shan created. And she imagined sun. I could look at it and judge it and say, it's totally wrong. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. But then I would be missing out on the delight of drawing it because it's super, super fun. And fun is definitely worthy of exploring. And your lines become more precise and they become more stylized and they become more you the more that you draw lines. And I've seen it in my students, I've seen it in my own lines, I've seen it in my students' lines. Students have been drawing with me for many, many years. I'm watching, if you go back to their very first tile that they ever drew, and the tiles that they're drawing now, it's extraordinary to see them change. And they didn't think about it except to pick up the pen and draw. That's all they did. When I first started, I first learned Zentangle, first started drawing like this, my handwriting actually improved. Not because I was practicing my letters or thinking about improving my handwriting, but just because I changed my relationship to my pen and my hand. And actually, I think, no, I'm actually thinking out loud now because I never thought about this before, but I actually gave my hand some fun and saying, well, let's draw this thing that doesn't need to communicate anything but delight and whimsy and pattern. slow lines, lots of breathing, lots of allowing what's showing up on the page. Excuse me. Knowing that you are drawing this for the first time and it doesn't matter what happens. You are an explorer, discovering new lines with every stroke of your pen. Discovering new ways to allow your lines to be exactly as they are. Every time we come to the page, we practice allowing and noticing. And if you find yourself in a spiral of, I don't like it, this is no fun, just breathe. Say, oh, I used to be that person, but I'm not that person anymore. I'm now someone who looks at my line and say, wow, that's amazing. I've never seen that line before. It came out of my hand. That's truly extraordinary. I wonder what other lines I could draw if I allow myself to draw freely. Allow that inner critic to take a break. Inner critic must be so exhausted, constantly vigilant, constantly jumping up and down and yelling over nothing. It's kind of funny when you think about it. All the things our inner critic thinks we're so unsafe. Not a single one of us that will actually kill us. Just a bunch of noise. And we get to choose whether or not we want to give that noise credence or say, ah, not important. Everything you're yapping about, inner critic, is so unimportant and not worthy of my time or attention or energy. And it's a choice that has to be made over and over and over again. Sometimes many times a day. If it's a particularly hard day. And if you choose to make that choice, everything gets so much easier and more fun. And there's more allowing and more play and a whole lot more appreciation. And could we all use just more appreciation? I know I could use more appreciation. The world is not very good at appreciating us for our unique abilities. So I say, I might as well begin appreciating myself. See, one of my little guys here slipped out of my leaf. That is not where it's quote unquote supposed to be. But it is exactly where it's supposed to be because I'm exploring. And I always find the best thing to do when I do something like that is to call attention to it. So I just colored it black. Say, you know what? No, I'm going to add more. Anyone who looks at this and say, well, wow, wasn't that an inspired choice? I wouldn't have thought to do that. Those are outside the so-called lines. And that is what exploring is all about. I did this thing. I didn't mean to do this thing, but wow, what if I do more of that thing? Wouldn't that be super fun? And what would it look like? And that's how you find out, by saying yes.
Super fun. I started with this pattern and said thought to myself, I'm going to draw this one today. I thought, oh, it's so specific. What could possibly happen? I don't know. And oh my gosh, crazy explorations. Sun turned into an amoeba plant. It's very fun. So there they are. That is what I've created. Yours might look completely different, and I hope that it does look very, very different. So thank you for drawing with me and exploring sun. So fun. Here in northern Minnesota, we don't get that much sun in the winter. So it's fun to draw sun on the page. All right, so if you would like to learn more about me, eternalpossibility.com is my website. And if you would like to donate to this effort, to these free classes, you can do so at paypal.me/eternalpossibility. And you can use these as little bookmarks. You could add color to them, you could gift them, you could put a name on the back and make it your Christmas gift tag or Hanukkah gift tag or Kwanzaa gift tag. You could leave them randomly in library books for people to find. You could write little love notes on them and leave them on the bus, or pop them in a birthday card or a Christmas card. So many fun ways that you can share your art, and you can take this beautiful pattern and you can draw it on every envelope, every Christmas card that you send out, or holiday card, or thank you, or anniversary card, or get well card. So many ways to share your beautiful artwork with the world. All right, thank you so much for drawing with me, and I look forward to drawing with you in the new year.